Forge FC is ready for their upcoming match.
Simply stunning stuff!
And finally, their goal! My word, what a rocket!
Now, let's get you up to date with Anthony Urciuoli and Match Day Preview on the Forge Audio Network.
Hey, Forge fans, Anthony Urciuoli with you with Jessica Lisi as well. It is the match in review. Forge FC dropping 3 points again in Winnipeg. Back-to-back 1-0 losses to Valour. And Jess, it was more of the same, unfortunately. You know, last match we talked about how it doesn't look like Forge and they're not playing their game. What'd you think this time around? Did it look a little more like Forge?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the beginning they came out with the right mentality. You saw them sticking to what they typically do, which is that ball movement, keeping the ball moving around. Their movement off the ball was very good. But then it slowly seemed that they started to get frustrated. Obviously, Valour is a great team and they do, they provide all that pressure up front. So it is hard to build out of the back. But again, I did think they did a great job at it at the beginning. Slowly, as the game progressed, it seemed like they lost it. They went back to the forcing of the long ball or trying to create things that weren't on. You had people taking shots from a distance that just wasn't it. There was an easier option. So it just seemed forced at times. I don't think it was their best performance today by any means.
No. And I mean, you talk about, it was like I saw Bigfoot. I was looking at the stats and I was looking at the possession. I rarely do see Forge not significantly outgain the other club in possession, but at halftime, Valour had more possession and Forge did finish with 53%, but there weren't a lot of quality chances. And when there were, the execution wasn't there. Forge finished with 0 shots on target, 9 attempts, 0 on target. Valour on the flip side, 11 attempts, 5 on target. One of those did find the goal. It was in the 73rd minute. Levi's, it was a great goal, a great combination goal from the club. And, at that point, it was just too much of an uphill battle. Forge, here, speaking of just wild stats here, so Forge have scored, they're now winless in 5, 4 losses in that span. They've scored 2 goals in their last 5 matches. Their previous 5 matches, they scored 15 goals. So they've gone from 15 to 2 in the same stretch. So something is off. And this is where you start questioning whether it's more of a mental issue than it is an actual tactical one.
Yeah, definitely. I don't believe that Bobby is asking anything different of the men. I think they're all obviously great players. They have a great team. Their tactics work for them. So I don't believe that it's necessarily a tactical change that's in their head and is throwing them off. I think it's just the execution of that, and it's very much getting in their head when it's not being executed correctly. Again, it's been 4 matches now that they haven't won. They haven't been able to do their usual numbers. So it's definitely frustrating as a player. Everybody wants to be the hero, which is when you see people taking shots from, way far out when they should be passing a simple ball to somebody in a better position. So I do believe that it has something to do with mentality right now. They're throwing themselves off. They're psyching themselves out. They just have to remember what it is that they're good at and stick to the game plan. Eventually they will gel. But it obviously is a really frustrating thing to go through as a player.
Well, you made a good point when we were talking earlier when you said it's, some teams just aren't used to struggling and aren't used to losing, and that can play some games with your head.
Yeah, absolutely. Forge is definitely not used to, struggling. They're usually the top dog. So to come out and again be winless in 4 matches is extremely frustrating. You try to figure out what it is. You try to be the problem solver, and at times it doesn't work out, and it just continues to be frustrating throughout the match. And I do believe that showed through their play today. Like I said at the beginning, they seemed composed and confident on the ball. Their movement was good. But as the game progressed and Valour was able to create, quality chances within that final third, you saw Forge fall off a little bit and go back to that forcing style out of desperation to really get one in the back of the net.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, uncharacteristic turnovers. We pointed out earlier as well, just a lot of attempts on long balls and some of these stretch passes that weren't really there. And that's not Forge's game. I mean, they're a possession club. When you see a club that doesn't typically play that long ball style of play, all of a sudden do it while they're struggling, you do wonder if it's a club trying to force things. And they could not have, they sent a message just with the starting lineup. They went with 4 natural attackers up top with Borges, Campbell, Pacius, Welshman. and Borges playing in the middle, which I thought, I thought he looked good there early. Eventually, they did change their tactics a little bit once they started making substitutions. But and you like Borges in the middle as well.
Yeah, I do. I think Borges is a great player overall, but I think his strengths really show when he is in that middle role. He's very smart. He has great vision, and he's obviously got great feet. And he's very good at those long distance shots. So it is. I think that's a perfect place for him. He creates a lot when he's in there. And you have players up front that have a lot more speed than Borges that are able to bring a different thing to the match. So it's great to see Borges to be able to combine with those players and get a shot off himself, or potentially play that through ball into players who are able to use their pace to get in behind the back line.
Let's check in with head coach and technical director Bobby Smirniotis and some of his thoughts on the loss to Valour.
Yeah, it wasn't a pretty football match all around. Kind of second game in a row. A little bit difficult to get a rhythm on this pitch. I guess it's proven to be a tough one for us over the last couple of seasons this year, and going back into last year and the bubble games and so on, and just finding a rhythm with the ball moving, bouncing quite a bit. The opponent did a good job pressing, but that's not something we haven't seen before. I just thought, we weren't clean enough on the ball, and then, forcing situations. If you want to win games, you got to put the ball in the net. We haven't put the ball in the net today. It's come to a point where we've been scored on, and then we start showing a forceful effort to get to the opponent's goal. Why before that? I'm not sure. It's a discussion we have to have with the players. But we had circumstances in the game where we could be there, we could do the right things, and we're just not doing it. And that's where we're not clicking right now as a team, and we need to do that. We started the game with, I think, about 30 goals on the pitch between the players that are there. So it's got to be better.
And so you can see and hear some of the frustration from Bobby. And the fact of the matter is, Forge went into this 3-match road trip and came out with 1 point in those 3 matches. And not only that, but Valour and Forge are now level on points. Forge does have a match in hand. We might as well run through the table now. Atletico Ottawa, 40 points. They're in first. Cavalry played 1 less match than Atletico. They're 3 points back. Forge also has played 1 less match than Atletico, but now they're 4 points out of top spot, and they are level with Valour, who leapfrog Pacific by a point. Pacific with that match in hand, but Valour out of nowhere. I'm one of the people that counted them out. I figured the top 4 we were looking at for most of the season would be the final 4, but Valour's made their push. They're in that 4 now, and Valour's been impressive. We watched them now for 2 games, and they've been good. Not only do they defend well, the way they're able to counter and turn defense into offense, and they're efficient. When they get their opportunities, they're able to score. And at the end of the day, that's been the difference in these last 2 matches.
Yeah, hats off to Valour. They had a fantastic performance in the last 2 matches against Forge. It's obvious that they are hungry for it. They came out guns blazing right from the first minute. They're an aggressive attack, but defensively they also work as a unit, which is really impressive. They always have numbers around the ball. Their shape is good, so obviously in the offense role they are able to bury it. Even if they do have a ton of chances and they bury 1, they are able to get at least 1 goal of their quality chances, which is obviously, as we've seen, it's not that easy. Sometimes you have all the quality chances and you can't quite bury 1. So definitely hats off to them. They've definitely been performing and have earned that spot.
And they won this match without their leading goal scorer, Dyer, who was suspended because of the 2 yellow cards last match. Dyer was sent off in stoppage time in the last match. So he got 2 yellows in stoppage time. The coach wasn't happy. And then Valour did it again. They got a red card in stoppage time again. Now it was the 93rd minute, so there wasn't much time for Forge to do much. But yeah, hats off to Valour. They've been impressive these last 2 matches, almost clinical in the way they've been defending, and then being able to turn that into a counter. Kyle Becker, Forge captain, not happy with the results and the performance of his club. Here is Kyle post match. Just with the recent form the club has been in, has it become more of a mental challenge at this point?
Couldn't tell you. I don't know.
you just have general assessment of the match today?
Yeah, it wasn't very good.
Yeah, so frustration from the captain, the coach, the whole club, and fans. I mean, it was a frustrating match to watch if you're a Forge fan. And on Valour's goal, which we already kind of talked about, but I just want to circle back to it because while it was a great sequence of passes and a great team play leading up to the goal, Forge, I don't know if they're just not used to defending as much as they have been the last couple of matches because they're always possessing, 55 to 65% of the match. But on this one, Forge could have probably done a little better to at least slow Valour down on this break.
Yeah, definitely. It was a great effort by Valour. Obviously, Levi's it was a great finish. It was a great play. The give and go. It was very clinical. But on Forge's part, there definitely wasn't the effort that needed to be there defensively. He legitimately made his entire run without a mark. He was able to get into the 18 and get that ball back without any pressure to obviously finish it very well like he did, but definitely could have been better on Forge's part in putting effort on him on that give and go. The player that played it back to him, I'm not sure who it was, but the pressure wasn't there on him. And then obviously, again, he's in the 18-yard box. He can't have that time to just easily place a ball like that.
Yeah, so Forge now, I mean, I guess the positive going forward, eventually they will have to put this game behind them, and they will. They return home finally. They host Cavalry on Saturday. They have, we're down to 6 matches here, 4 of them at home. They'll finish their last 3 matches of the season will all be at home. So as bad as this feels for Forge, there's a lot to play for still. And also at the end of the day, you're trying to get as great as it would be to finish at the top of the table and secure home field advantage throughout the postseason. Wherever Forge does finish, and they obviously want to finish in that top 4, at the end of the day, you're in the playoffs, and at that point, nothing else really matters. So, Jess, you've experienced this yourself as a player. How long does it take to get over a match? Is it a kind of go to bed, get over it in the morning type thing, or can losses linger more than 24 hours?
Yeah, I mean, we've spoken about this before. It's obviously a really frustrating thing to go through as a player, especially when it's not just one match and it's been multiple, that the result hasn't been there for you. I'm sure there's some players who, are looking at themselves and placing blame because they haven't had their best performances. It happens. It's a part of being a player, and it's one of the worst parts about being a player. But the reality of being an athlete is, you're not always going to have your best match. Your team's not always going to perform. It's just reality. So you can't let it linger. You can't sit on it. You got to wake up the next morning and it's done. Give yourself the night to think about it, reflect on it, maybe watch some film on how you can be better for the next match. But yeah, I would definitely say you can't let it linger if all it does is cause issues for you in the next match.
All right, so Forge will return from Winnipeg, go through a week of training. We will be there, of course. We'll bring you behind the beard. We'll do a focus on Forge, and we will preview that upcoming match against Cavalry, which goes down Saturday at 5 o'clock at Tim Hortons Field. And I have to remind you all again, Forge FC and Bench Brewing teaming up for the September special for that match on Saturday at 5 o'clock against Cavalry. $29.99 gets you a ticket, which is a gold level ticket, and you also get a bench beer sampling. So for $30, you get great seats, and you get some bench beer as well. And of course, $5 beers till kickoff. So at the end of the day, there's a lot more to be played. And fans, you can watch it up close at Tim Hortons Field on Saturday. All right, for Jessica Lisi, I'm Anthony Urciuoli. We'll talk to you soon.
This has been Match in Review with Anthony Urciuoli on the Forge Audio Network. For the latest on all things Forge FC, subscribe on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.